Yo, what is up guys? Welcome back to yet another Destiny 2 video, and today I am excited to bring you guys a review of a classic weapon from Destiny 1 that I honestly thought was never going to see the light of day in Crucible again in Destiny 2, but boy oh boy I was wrong, and I'm happy that I am wrong because this thing was one of my favorite exotics. And I know I say that about a lot of exotics, but come on, there were so many classics that were just amazing and have a special place in my heart from Destiny 1, and so I will say that in a lot of videos, I'll admit it. So as you all know, in the most recent update of these sandbox changes, Bungie actually touched a lot of weapons. They increased the damage on scout rifles, more specifically the faster fire rate ones, and they also touched auto rifles and gave those a buff, and they also messed with weapons like the Legend of Acreus and gave that a very nice buff. Now I'm going to be covering a lot of these weapons that have seen changes in the Crucible if they are good enough to review, and the Suros Regime is one of those weapons at the very top of the list, and that is why I had to come out with this video right after the last word video. Now of course, for those of you wondering, I am not going to sell you a false promise. This weapon is not able to compete with something like the Not Forgotten or the Luna's Howl or even the Last Word. So if you're thinking this is going to be a top tier meta weapon, then I'm just going to stop the conversation right there and tell you that that is simply not the case. And the reason being is, well, it's actually, I guess there's two answers. Number one is because simply it's not as good as something like the Not Forgotten or Luna's Howl, but secondly, and this is the more important thing, this is a much higher skilled weapon in my honest opinion. I do think that something like an auto rifle is probably the hardest thing to master, mostly because you need to be so precise and accurate on every single one of your shots if you want to take advantage of the lowest time to kill possible with these weapons. And that is why I'm saying it is a weapon that will not be good in everybody's hand. It is only going to be good in people that are in the top skilled brackets that can land their shots consistently, that have very good accuracy. Alright, so let's take a moment here to take a look at the perks. The intrinsic, of course, is called Suros Legacy. The bottom half of each magazine deals bonus damage and has a chance to return health on kill. Of course, that is something that you might notice in the background footage I am not doing a very good job of showing. I apologize in advance because I am somebody who has a problem, okay? And this is a real problem for gamers. I don't know how many, I didn't do the math on it, but this is a real problem for gamers like myself. We have a tendency to reload after every single kill. It is a chronic condition, and I apologize in advance. Now, a little bit later in the video, you're going to notice that I really tried my hardest to not reload, and I was doing it very well, and I was schmelting people, alright? And trademark that name right there. When you are melting somebody with a Suros Regime, it is a schmelt, okay? Let's just agree on that. Anyways, my point is that a little bit later on in the video, you're going to notice that I start going really deep into my magazines and utilizing every single last bullet in my mag, which just gives me so much bonus damage, and you're really going to see the difference between time to kill when you're using those last rounds in your mag compared to when you're only using the top half. So stay tuned for that. Obviously that's close to the end of the video, and I honestly just make so many plays. I love all of the footage in this video. So obviously all the other perks aren't that important. There's Hammerforge, Rifling, Tactical Mag, and Hand-Laid Stock, but the one thing I want to talk about is the two modes that you actually have a chance of choosing, and it really changes the way this weapon operates. Number one is Spinning Up, and the second one is Dual Speed Receiver. I'm using Dual Speed Receiver in the footage that you're watching in the background here, and the description is: when aiming down sights, weapon rate of fire slows down while weapon damage increases. I like this one a lot more than Spinning Up, which is holding down the trigger increases rate of fire. The reason being is because I found that Spinning Up was better at close range, but the problem is that once you got into those medium ranges, the recoil on Spinning Up was a little bit too harsh, and it really didn't perform as well as I'd like it to at medium range. And obviously, if you're going to treat this weapon as a close range weapon only, you're kind of doing it wrong, because like I mentioned, with the Last Word already being in the game, that is obviously the king, and this thing's not even going to come close to it. So it has to be a good weapon at both close and medium range, and that is why I like Dual Speed Receiver. Anyways guys, that is it for the review. I think this thing is badass, and it's actually very impressive. I really was not expecting this, but I'm very glad that Bungie's more open to doing these more significant buffs that are really really helping out these sandbox because it's been very stale in the past 4 or 5 months with only the Luna's Howl and the Not Forgotten. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, a like rating would be very much appreciated. If you'd like to see any more weapons reviewed, comment down below which ones you'd like to see. Specifically, I'm looking for weapons that have been buffed since this most recent sandbox change. And yeah guys, thanks for watching once again. Subscribe for more daily Destiny content. Have yourselves a great day, and I'll see you all later. Peace.